Welcome to the Invisible Wheelchair Podcast. This is Throwback Thursday. One Thursday each month, we take a trip back in time to a previous podcast. With so many new visitors to the podcast, I thought it was a good time to get back to some of the good stuff we've had from the past.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Q Sciences. Don and I discovered that the supplements we were taking and giving to our children were not being absorbed properly. I was very excited when I found Q Sciences. I was impressed with the quality of the products and that they provide maximum absorption. They have a variety of products, including a Q Max product, which is a combination of 3 products, including vitamins, minerals, and a probiotic. They also have hemp oil, a vitamin B12 spray, a sleep spray, and kids products. I've really seen a difference in how these products are improving how I feel, improving my mental health, and I'm happy with the quality of these products and how they're helping our whole family. If you'd like to learn more,
simply go to qsciences.focusedhealthyfamily.com. That's the letter Q, sciences.focusedhealthyfamily.com. Or you can find a link on the front page of the focusedhealthyfamily.com website.
And stop throwing your money away on supplements that don't work and use a quality product like Q Sciences.
So join me now as we travel back in time. This podcast was recorded January 26, 2018, and this is an off-the-cuff podcast, not one of my numbered series. And this one I'm going to call The Flu. What's it all about? You know, recently I've been hearing about the flu epidemic and the flu disease and how many people have been killed because of the flu. And this is going to probably make me sound old-fashioned or old, but I really wonder about that because I've grown up all my life understanding that the flu is a natural process of the body to help fight off or stem off a virus or something in the body that the body doesn't like. Flu is a method for it to fight that and to overcome it and get yourself better. So it's a natural process of the body. But yet, I'm hearing all these things about people dying from the flu. And of course, it's hitting the senior population and the children. And they're making it so critical and so devastating. And now, understand right off the bat that I'm not a nutritionalist. I'm not a doctor or a therapist. This is really just my thoughts on it, what I feel about it. But when I think about it, if there are kids that are dying from it, the reason that I believe that somebody could die from the flu is that their immune system has been very weakened. And how does that happen? Well, one of the biggest ways that happens is the nutritional basis by which they live, the diet that they're eating, the food that they're consuming. And a lot of times it starts out from very young. The parent doesn't eat well, the mother doesn't eat well, or has a very poor nutritional base. And so the child grows up without having, the nutrients and the different things that a real good nutritionist, holistic nutritional diet would give them. Some of it is the mother not breastfeeding, because one of the problems breastfeeding, it gives them something that nothing else can give them. No formula can provide the same kind of bonding, the same kind of nutritional health that they need, even as far as sicknesses. Breastfeeding can actually help a baby who's breastfeeding who gets sick. The mother's body and the nutrition of the breast milk and the breast itself can actually take in the virus or take in the thing that's the sickness that the baby has and help find ways to help that baby to heal that. And so starting out that way, that's the beginning of not building a strong immune system. And I don't want this to come across as faulting the parents as much as I'm now looking at, let's fault the corporations and the food industry that is making crap out there and selling it to us, putting chemicals and dyes and processed foods in there that are not good for us, and taking the nutrition out of the food because of the way they grow it, or the way they process it, or the way they pasteurize it, or the way they, you know what I'm saying. So, when I look at this, this epidemic kind of thing about the flu, it really bothers me, because the flu is not like that. When I was growing up as a kid, you got the flu, it was okay. It wasn't fun. No, having fevers and being sick is not fun. But we let it run its natural course. We didn't try to fend it off. We didn't. I'm trying to remember as a child whether, I don't believe when I was real young that they had anything like a flu shot. I think that started like in my teens. I was born in the, born in the very late 50s, kind of grew up in the 60s. And so, we would stay home from school, and we'd have a high fever. And if it got too high, we would take an aspirin, usually, or we would get some kind of medicine just to help kind of bring down that fever so we could sleep. And by sleeping and resting, it would help the flu to be able to do its job and go on. So we are, unfortunate now that we have a thing called leaky gut, because the food is so lacking in nutrition, that we actually have a problem in our stomach that causes what they call leaky gut. It lets food leak into areas that it's not supposed to, which causes not only sickness but also anxiety. And when we have anxiety, and that's so I think the thing that's causing these flu deaths, these flu being so extreme that it is one that it's mutating and getting stronger, but it's also, I think, more so of the fact of poor nutrition at birth, poor nutrition as the child is growing up, and then it's also, we live in a world, and this is the world that I deal with on a pretty much daily basis of working with people, is the anxiety. Because as I talked about in one of the other podcasts I did about the fight or flight, when you get into fight or flight, it's doing a lot of different things to your body and to your mind. Fight or flight, or anxiety, which is really basically what the basis of anxiety. Fight or flight actually in your body starts building up chemicals such as adrenaline and cortisols and others that become toxic if they're not used properly, if they're not used for a real physical fight or a physical issue. And then in our mind, it's actually shutting down the creative thinking part of the brain, which doesn't help it in sickness, I guess. But what's bigger about that, it actually hampers or shuts down the immune system. And of course, so your immune system's weaker, your nutrition is not helping to boost it up, so you're more susceptible to different viruses and things, and the flu. And so, and I see what I also see, and I don't want to be what would you call it, conspiracist? But I think that there's a lot of part of this, that's not a very good English, but a good part of this is the drug companies who want to make it like a disease, that want to be able to sell you a drug that they can continue to build on. They just reinvented flu to a place where now they can sell a drug against it. I mean, they've always had medicines for the flu of different sorts. Even when I was a kid, it was disgusting tasting, but but it was mainly used to be able to, if I remember right, and if I'm thinking right, it was mainly used to help, like, bring the fever down if it got, too high. Like I can remember a couple of times where I got up to 104, 105, and I couldn't sleep and I was kind of almost lethargic, and so they wanted to bring the fever down some to be able to let me get sleep and rest, um, and help kind of get past the um, the flu. But I think now it's like they're trying to be preventive to flu, and I think that's not a good idea. I think we need to let the body do what it can, but we got to start out with bringing our nutritional levels up, and giving good, decent food. Getting rid of the processed food, getting rid of even the glutens and even the dairy. Uh, I think can be contributors to problems with our nutrition. Sugar, overabundance of sugar in our diet. All these things play into it. So I really want people to think more about improving that. The real cure to flu is, one, getting our nutritional basis up to a better standard. So we're building a strong immune system. We're building a strong gut. The probiotics and the things that naturally will help build up the stomach the way it's supposed to be. And again, I talk in layman's terms, not in doctor terms. But get that gut back in a healthy place, get nutritional values up, and then let's look at lowering the anxiety so fight or flight is not one of the causes or not one of the problems in doing this, and get ourselves out of a more stressful world. We have come to find that anxiety is almost commonplace and regular even for kids, and maybe even more so for kids. Um, so I would like to see, instead of a preventative flu shot, that we did a preventative nutritional, you know, uh, build up for our body, and get our body's immune system capable of handling flu, and then letting flu follow its natural course. And I can only imagine that by getting our nutritional factor up and eating a holistic, better diet, that we will encounter less flu and less severe flu. We will, I feel like I live a pretty healthy life, and I eat pretty nutritional, uh, pretty nutritional. I guess, is that a good way to say it? Um, and I feel like because of that, when I've had a little bout of the flu a week or so ago, and it lasted for me for about 2 days, and it wasn't so severe that I couldn't still function and sleep. I had a low grade fever, about 100, and I got past it. So I think that's my basis of understanding here, and hoping to get other people to understand that really the best way to be prevented of flu is to build your stomach health up, get your nutrition up to a higher level, a better level that builds gut strength, gut health, and look at ways, and that's what I teach, ways of getting the anxiety down and finding ways to be able to manage anxiety so the stress doesn't keep you in fight or flight, which keeps your immune system down, etc. And then, try to help others, especially new mothers or expecting mothers, to understand the benefits of good nutrition for themselves and breastfeeding and how important it is. And I talk about that because my wife was a La Leche League leader for a long time, which is the group that supports breastfeeding. And she's really taught me well as to how important that is for the nutritional health of the baby and the emotional health of the baby, that bonding and all that goes with it. So I think these are things that we need to work on, and that I'd like to be able to pass along to others in all the ways that I can, because I think it's so vitally important. And it can play on OCD, and that this podcast is about OCD, but OCD is a high anxiety disorder. And so anything we can do to lower that anxiety, which gut health plays a major role, and I talk about that in podcasts and all the time when I'm out presenting, how important and how big a role the stomach plays into the brain and the anxiety. And so it too can contribute to OCD. And in fact, as an example, my daughter was that way. We were able to do some really deep testing with her to find out where her imbalances were in all kinds of in nutritional factors, down to the enzymes and the bacteria levels and all the different workings of her body, where nutrition played a role. And when we eliminated the nutritional issues that she had, the things that she was allergic to or resistant to, it made a huge difference in how she handled the OCD. So it does play into OCD. It may seem like it, but talking about the flu doesn't play into it, but it does. So I hope that this helps in understanding a little bit on a very common level, layman's term level, and hopefully that you listening to this can help spread this idea and help others boost this up. And we don't take flu as a disease or a killing disease. We take it as its natural process that helps the body. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this podcast. You take care. It's fun to travel back in time and listen to past events and podcasts. Maybe you have a story from the past about how you overcame OCD, or maybe you want to tell what you're going through right now dealing with OCD. We want to hear about it. Simply go to invisiblewheelchair.com, and on the left-hand side you'll see a little area that says Stories from the OCD Side. Click there and tell us all about it. We'll be happy to listen and put you out there. And remember, my wife and I are here to help you with your OCD and your anxiety. Simply go to familyocd.com or focusedhealthyfamily.com, and there you can connect with us and get a free consult to find out if we can help you. And thank you for visiting us today on the Invisible Wheelchair Podcast, and we'll look forward to your next visit with us. So thanks for coming. Take care.